Image utils is inside of engine private image utils. So if we went to our editor factories, it's in the engine, so I expect editor factories to be able to actually reference that. So I'm just going to change this factory thing to allow this. What was the texture data? Let's see, maybe we can use one of these create textures. So just new object, outer name flags. What was our M texture data? So I'm just going to throw this in here because I want to not deal with this sort of crap. I'd rather just have this work how I'd like it to work, and I don't have to deal with it. So I won't deal with it. Because this stuff doesn't take in the, like it takes in like these sorts of things, but the binary isn't getting loaded. So there's some other weird thing that's happening behind the scenes with this factory create new versus factory create binary. So let's just have it make an empty 2x2 texture that is white for us. And image utils there probably isn't going to work. So let's see, image utils is inside of image utils. Editor factories, factory create new. Let's see. Alright, so image utils is already added to this thing, so we don't have to worry too much about that. I don't know. There's obviously something with the Unreal object and asset creation stuff that I don't really understand. That source data there. Because it still hasn't really clicked exactly how everything works with creating a U object and how that gets saved into the actual asset database, everything else. Like, I get, when you make a U object, it creates it inside of context or something like that. And that those U objects exist and then, get saved and loaded from binary data and all that sort of stuff. But I haven't seen like a super simple way to just like save an asset into a folder in the editor. And I don't know if that's because I don't understand the system, or if the system's not made to do that nicely, or if there's something I'm missing that's just like that is smacking me in the face. Just be like, this is how you're supposed to do this, you idiot. And I'm just not understanding it. So let's see if this gets called, because I'm pretty sure it uses some sort of inheritance with the factory create new function, and that's what we're calling, and like the default value for that just returns null or something like that. Everything is always more difficult than it needs to be. Welcome to my world. Also, I am really hungry. I'm gonna have to like eat food here or die a horrible death. Alright, so our stuff is getting called now. So what is this getting pissed about? Let's say array to index out of bounds from an array size of 0. So width and height were something. Let's just throw a breakpoint back in there. It's probably that we're not passing array texture data. So I probably should get some food going, otherwise I'm just gonna lose the ability to think because food. I mean, that's pretty much already happening. Alright, our past and texture data is empty. Okay, so that totally makes sense. So that's going to be because we passed in this fill with color thing. So we're going to call setup for map. Setup for map is supposed to init these things to a certain number. Yeah, we've got this create static flow field, and the output is supposed to go straight into texture there, so the output is hooked up properly. Width and height is there. So what's not happening is this output value It seems pretty simple. We've got our map here. We're calling setup for map, which should do all this stuff. And we're calling this with the proper values, so I don't understand. I must be missing something real stupid and obvious. Alright, we didn't even hit our breakpoints. So obviously we were in something else. So you have fill height array, create static flow field, save texture asset. We definitely should have hit something here with the create static flow field. Well, let's see. How come I can't do much with this? I mean, I want to set this to a new object. So I think what's happening is our calculated flow field is getting passed in. With this static flow field. The only thing that could possibly be happening is this flow field is null. Which would be happening if this get calculated flow field is toast. So I guess inside of our construction script we need to create it. Alright, so let's see. Initial, what do we need to do? This calculated flow field, it'll be like, it just needs to be, you know, calculated flow field. I guess it can only be a reference. We can't just like have it be a structure that gets initialized to nothing. So we need to set this to something here. We can't just call new object or anything like that from Blueprint. Is there like a spawn object? This is kind of funny. Is like I just want to make this new object, and there's actually not a function for this. So let's see, it's in like object utils. I think I added my own, like a create component. And this is like entity utils, create object by name. Like we just want a create object, and we want to pass in a class. It's really funny. That we're actually going to have to write a function to do this. Because we can't just make a UObject in... I just can't make it in Blueprint. And I can't actually set one up either. You're supposed to refer to an asset. And it's like, well, I don't need an asset, I just need a frickin' thing. You know, kind of a temporary container variable. And it's like, nah, this isn't set up for it. Alright, so object utils needs to... Let me check this out. It's just kind of funny where you see the edges of the editor and other things like that where it's just like, why doesn't this exist? Because you'd think that this would just exist. It does exist, you just have the wrong name. Well, you'll have to enlighten me then. Because new object and all those things just are not callable from Blueprint. Spawn object there exists. Now it does. And that's what I was Googling there. I was like, there's got to be something. And then like the first hits on the forums are just like, yeah, make your own. It's just like, wait, what? Oh, I know. I got the /s. But it's totally one of those things where it probably does exist, but I just don't know what the hell it's called. That was one of the things you're writing this report. Yeah. Well, it's 1 a.m. here as well. And I'm writing this stupid spawn object function. I wonder if I'm going to have to do a cast too. And some of these things don't exist because, most likely, it has to do with how difficult it is to get the Blueprint system to actually validate all that crap properly for it. Because how would you create like a spawn object class? You'd have to use like some sort of template thing and then like hard code something in there. It's 10 in the morning there for you, Karakan. Well, that's cool. Once I get this basically hooked up, I'm probably gonna go cook some food and then eat that food. Been up for 5 hours. What are you doing up so early? Alright, so we're gonna need to call spawn object. And we're gonna want a calculated flow field object. And that return value is gonna hook in there. And of course we can't set this thing directly. And it's going to say, object reference is not compatible with calculated flow field reference. And I'm going to say, you know what? Has to calculated flow field. And I don't care. It's like, I don't care if it's calculated or not. You set that damn variable. Thank you very much. Object not in package. Obviously. Alright, so let's see, what is this? Object is not packaged. What the hell does that even mean? So I need a world context object? Alright, so I have to do something like this. So many little things you have to do. And this is kind of when you make your own toolbox inside of these systems. That's why it takes a lot longer in, I think, stuff like Unreal. Because before you're able to actually do something, I'm just like, I just need, an object here. And we're spending, like 30 minutes to an hour just like screwing around with just getting a variable created inside of a blueprint, right? Like, that's just so dumb. Like, we should just be like, create this variable. This variable is, a blueprintable object. It just goes on this class, initialize it to nothing. It doesn't need to be saved in the asset database. I don't need to use it that way. I don't want to go make an object for it. Just give me the defaults. Give me the static class, or, give me an instance of this object that's made, on creation of this object. Just go make it. Thank you. Okay, I understand we need a U object and it needs to be unique for this blueprint. So just go make it easy for me. Just instead of a reference to a variable, just make it a fully qualified variable. And then if you have to do new U objects in the background, do it. I don't care. You're generating the code, Unreal. You can do it for me. It should be, instead of reference to object, it should just be object. Alright, so supposedly that actually did go do something. So let's go to our construct static flow field code, and we should be able to go to this create static flow field function, and we should be able to just see if it actually passes in the proper value for the calculated field. It gets transient, which is fine. And the flow field is not null, which is exactly what it should be. So we get all these initialized. Oh yeah, this is another issue where if you're in Visual Studio, woe to be you if you step over a templated init function with a large number, because then Visual Studio locks the fuck up. So we will see here. Our texture data has all sorts of stuff in it. So we should see our static flow field actually get saved here. We can totally save that out. And we should see on the water, this third flow field texture thing we should be able to save it and then reload and it should be set. So I'll do that, and then I'm probably going to go get food after I make sure it all is saving properly. And it's all there, and it's all set up. So, okay, cool. I'm going to... What, Adam just is going to get food too? Is that what's happening? Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. That is hilarious. Well then, I am still going to have to go get food. Alright, well I'll go start something, and then I will come back down. Well, I'll be right back. So let's see if I've got that stuff cooking, just some soup or whatever, so I'm not gonna have to run off anywhere. Just watch me burn it. So what else is going on? Yeah, it was interesting visiting over in Seattle yesterday. Since went to that party. I guess it's the day before yesterday now. But one of the craziest things happened. Like I was just talking to somebody and like I waved my hand, like because I was talking. So like you move your hands around because you're a normal human being. Not that you're flailing like an idiot, like an abnormal human being, which I might also have been doing. But what ended up happening was when I moved my hand, I was moving it like down, kind of like this, and it hit the wall. And the wall has, it's made of wood, right? So in horror movies how like they always like do awful things like peel off the skin right above your fingernail and stuff like that. So what happened was this splinter of wood got stuck. It was all the way from the base of the nail to the top of the nail, jammed straight in there, like humongous chunk of wood. Like you could see this giant chunk of wood just straight up the nail under there, and it happened in like a half second. And I was talking to somebody. He's just like, "Holy shit, that just happened." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, and like you then look at it, and it's not like this splinter is like sticking out, right? Like it's not like there's another half inch that I can actually point and grab. It's of course broken off literally right on the nail. I can't pull it out. So, and this was like the party had just like started like 5 minutes ago, literally. I had like the first like drink in my hand, and so I just like looked down at it, and it starts bleeding and crap like that, but not much because there's a splinter jammed in there, so it's not, it's like it's not gonna go anywhere. I just go, and just like, yeah, this is gonna be an experience. And of course, one of the guys who I'm there talking to, like two guys, I'm like, he gets easily grossed out by stuff. So I'm like, hey Joe. One of the upsides of having claws. Yeah, it's true. So I'm like, hey Joe, check this out. And I like show it to him. And he's just like, oh, leave me alone. So I was just sitting there like talking to Joe and some other people, and I was like just kind of messing with my finger, and just like slowly like getting the thing to like just trying to press it out or something. And he's just like every couple minutes, he'd be like, "Oh, I looked at it. Oh, Jesus, this is the worst thing ever. I can't sit here and hold like a normal conversation if you're here like just." Well, I mean, it hurt after like 10 minutes, right? And then I went down to like the front desk, and I was just like, "Do you have like any tweezers or something?" I'm not doing drugs in this hotel. I legitimately have a problem. They gave me like the worst piece of tweezers ever, and so I was like, I go to the bathroom to like start messing with this thing, and of course Joe's in there, just doing his business. And I'm like right behind him, at the sink because it's a guy's bathroom, so the sink's right next to where people pee, and he's facing away from me because that's not how urinals work. They don't just have like some staring contest about like you come in, there's just like somebody going, that's just like staring you down at the exit. That's not how it works. So he doesn't know I'm there, and then I start fucking around with this thing. I'm like, oh god, and he tilts his head over. He's like, are you serious? Like, Jesus Christ, man, I'm trying to like, I thought I could get away from this crap. And so like the tweezers aren't working. So what I do is I just like bite down on my nail, and I just like rip like part of my nail and this thing out in one motion, and like blood starts going all over the place. It was pretty good. So I got it out though in one motion, and then and then it it's like you can't even see it anymore because it all came out. So yeah, that was the highlight of my night over there. Anyway, I'll be right back. Yeah, that would have been a lot worse if it was like a cactus, but you know, it was just, you know, a piece of crappy wood, so it at least came out, right? Like, Christ. That would have been one of those things where you're like, this is my life now. My life is constant pain. I'd be like, I'm not as old as Adam yet. This is too soon. So, what we're going to want to do, I need to let this thing cool down before I like burn my mouth in half. Now what we got is we actually do have our calculations going. We're calling our function. We're actually going to start doing stuff. So the next thing we need to do is we need to calculate our object, our radius and position and everything. So let's see, what is the up and down? That's the z. Let's just simplify this. Let's put this at like 5,000.0. And let's also mess with this y here. And the x. Alright, so let's calculate what our positions are going to be. So we have an x of 63800. We have a y of 3000. We've got a z of negative 5000. So this is positive is back. It looks like the center of this thing is that. So what are our extents? Our extents are going to be like some of these things. You once stepped on a sea urchin. Yeah, this is all over the next few months. What is like? You're just like, gotta chop my foot off. You know, it's time for some bionic feet. Alright, so we can kind of calculate this. This is what, 164? And for this y direction, it's about there. Is that y or z? It's y. Alright, so the kind of the width and height of this thing are these values. 165,000 minus 63800. So we're about 101, 200 by 69,000 minus 3,000, which is 66,000. And that's half width, so we need to multiply that by 2. So that's 202,400 x 132,000. So if we are located, positive goes like that, so it's going to be the left side and then all the way up. So the left side is going to be the y, so it's going to be like 3,000 minus like 61,000. So that's going to be about negative 61,000. Oh, it's not. What did I do? Yeah, it's 58. It's like, that's basic math. And it's going to be all the way back. What the fuck am I doing? There we go. Alright, the location of the waterfall is this frickin' location right here. I don't need to do math, I can just do things. Alright, so that's the location of this thing. Alright, so we're in our map utils, we're going to want the discover flow objects, so we're going to want it's a secret, everything's Alright, so we need to go to our map utils, we need to go to, we need a flow object, so we're going to make a new flow object here. We're going to call o.imposition equals effector, what was it, 109,500, negative 18, 400, negative 5,000. O.m radius, let's just say 2,000. O.m extents, let's not do it. O.m weight, let's just say 1.0f. O.m name equals waterfall. O.m input equals true. And then we just add that to our calculated flow field inputs. And we'll be figuring this out by like scanning the objects in the scene that can affect this. We may even have like an array of actors that you add or something like that to this thing. We'll figure it out. Hello Kento456. I am waiting for my soup to cool so I can then eat it, and I'm working on the flow field stuff, so hopefully we can create a flow field. And we went over how exactly we were going to do that. We have all these stupid drawings that we made earlier today. Alright, so we need to figure out where is the location for this waterfall and how big is it. Alright, so it's about... I mean, can I just get a box here? Is there like some sort of box? Box trigger? And just get the extents and be able to just put it in the world? This isn't negative 5,000, this is negative 4,000. So let's fix this. Soup in the summer? What the fuck? No, it's just, you know, pot roast soup, whatever. It's got meat and potatoes and all that stuff. So I'm fairly sure we'll be adding geometry kind of like this for where we want the outflows for things. That makes sense to me. So, alright. Wish there was like a little button here in the editor that's just round to nearest meter. Alright, so we're going to have another object. This is going to be waterfall out. This is going to be in the outputs and input is false. Radius 2000. No, we're going to have o.m extents because F vector. This object is going to be located at 113,000, 4,300. Negative 4,000. The extents are going to be 2450, 15000, and then 2000. And so those will be our ins and our outs. Alright, so for these objects we're going to have to calculate the paths between different things. So what we're going to want to do is for every water flow object input and m inputs, we're going to want to get this calculate paths. Is there like a pull front? I mean, there's like a push, but on other things there's like a pull front or something like that. Like I can add a variable, but I want to return like a reference to it. I want to grab the reference to it. And usually, like in some things it was called pull front, and it would like return a reference to the object you just added. Well, I'll just do path here, and then I'll just do calculate path, and we'll pass in path, and then we'll just do in paths.add path. And we're going to do for every water flow output and m outputs. And we'll call calculate path on that and add path on garbage. So calculate path should take input output. Most of the scenes won't be explorable. Do you think there will be issues with asset loading times, length of level creation times if the scene you're creating as we speak would be passed with that? A couple seconds. No, a lot of this, the size of these levels is absolutely tiny. Like, the size of the assets for what we've currently got. This waterfall and cave is only like 1.5 megs, and that's with, you know, like a bajillion of these stupid little rocks that are taking up space. So these levels are actually going to be real small. And a lot of that level asset data is just built lighting data. No, it's not going to be like, it's not actually going to be that huge. Because these are all instances of objects, and it's really going to be the number of objects in the map and all that. And we will be able to, if we want, procedurally generate levels and stuff like that by making standard pieces and parts and hooking them together, and then you just save where the pieces and parts are, everything like that. So it's not too bad. And, you know, pre-calculating this is all simple. So yeah, we're like loading assets from disk is going to be super easy. We'll just preload everything for the level, and it'll be good to go. I don't expect we'll have any significant loading times or issues. So it should not be a hugely big deal. And we're kind of making vistas at the moment. Like, if we can nail these like nice looking areas, then, you know, slotting in just like standard, you know, here's just a field with a bunch of crap on it. That's what load screens are for. But who loads the loading? So I'm very much not worried about the asset stuff here. And to kind of, like, we have different things. Like, instead of saving all the grass and everything as like its own little asset, you know, we save them as their own. We save them as like a color in the texture and stuff like that. You know, and these like pre-calculated textures we're making now, they're only like 250K on disk or something like that. They're real small. Yeah, the only things that really create huge load times are like, let's say you have like millions and millions of pieces of foliage and everything. Like, we got millions of these little mushrooms. Like, that's gonna crap up our scene with a lot of objects because everything needs to know where it is and everything. Kind of like the foliage system. Adam, to start with, use the foliage system and put like, you know, 2 million pieces of grass in an area kind of roughly this size to make it look good. And like, I just popped open, you know, Windows Explorer and looked at the size of that file on disk, and it was like 500 megs to store the 2 million different pieces of grass, right? And it's all, and I was just like, dude, like, we can't use foliage like that. You can't individually place the pieces of grass. So what we do in the other levels is, you know, you paint on a color. You paint on green, and then on level start, it just creates all the objects based on that. And we figured out how fast that was, and if any loading is actually going to happen dynamically, it's going to be on that dynamic foliage thing, popping up the, you know, hundreds of thousands or millions of pieces of foliage in the world and deleting those. That's the big thing, because there's millions of those little bastards, but the rest of the level is like a zero compared to that.